Welcome to Fenway Park and welcome to Boston. It's a beautiful night for baseball, and it's game one of a three-game series between the Baltimore Orioles and the Boston Red Sox. Welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Don Orsillo, as always, joined by Jerry Remy. Welcome to Red Sox baseball. Well, certainly one of the great stories this year for the Red Sox has been the comeback of Rich Hill, a Boston guy, and right now pitching very well.
Yeah, I said two very good starts for the Red Sox. The last time out against Toronto had 10 strikeouts in that ballgame. As a matter of fact, he's had 10 strikeouts in both starts that he's made. And you can see him coming over the top with a fastball right there for the strikeout. Another fastball that's going to be up. And another fastball here. So 3 fastballs for strikeout. But what he did in the last game is he changed angles. He dropped down to the side. He threw a lot of breaking balls, some split-fingered fastballs. You see the numbers this season in 2 starts, the 1.93 ERA, making his first start ever here at Fenway Park, and it should be exciting for him. It's been a nice little story, Rich Hill, going into the last part of this season, a guy that we never expected to see again. Now we see him in the starting rotation.
He has flourished for the Red Sox, no doubt, trying to keep it going tonight against the Orioles. For sure, we will see some power in this series. Chris Davis has got 43 home runs on the year, and of course Big Papi David Ortiz with 36, both in the lineups tonight. We're back with more right after this. Tonight, Rich Hill makes the start for the Red Sox. He's been pitching well. Red Sox were not expecting that. Clay Buchholz not pitching right now for the Red Sox. The Red Sox were expecting him to pitch deep into the season as one of their better pitchers. With more, we send it to field level and Garrett Austin.
Thanks, Don. Clay Buchholz threw off the mound for the first time today since injuring his right elbow on July 10th. Interim manager Torey Lovello said they don't want to get too far ahead, but today was a good first step.
Clay Buchholz threw a 20-pitch, as he describes, front toss bullpen. So the catcher is in front of home plate, almost on home plate. And he felt great. The reports were that there was a lot of energy, a lot of intensity. He was finishing his pitches. The conversation I had with Clay afterwards, he was very encouraged. It was pain-free. And those are the things we're looking for. It's going to be very risky to give him a start. I don't think that's in the cards. Whether it's an inning or a start, we're unsure right now. We just don't want to put him in harm's way. We want to make sure that he's healthy with step one, which was today. Step 2 will be the bullpen. I think it's the idea of just getting him on a mound with the slant, feeling the rubber, feeling the dirt on his spikes. There's a lot to be said for that for a player who is trying to build confidence and coming back from an injury. So step 1 is very good. I don't want to look too far beyond that, but I don't think a start is going to be in the cards.
Well, tonight it's the Red Sox and the Orioles, and the first pitch is coming your way next from Fenway. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Welcome back to Fenway Park as the Red Sox and the Baltimore Orioles begin a 3-game series. Red Sox have taken the field, so let's check out the visiting Orioles starting lineup. It's brought to you by New England Chevy dealers. Nolan Reimold leads it off in center field with Manny Machado at third base batting second. Chris Davis sliding up into the 3 spot with Steve Pearce in the cleanup spot in left field. Jonathan Scope at second base with Caleb Joseph doing the catching. J.J. Hardy at shortstop with Christian Walker, the DH, batting 8th, and Daryl Alvarez in right field bats 9th. The Red Sox starting pitcher presented by your local New England Audi dealers as Rich Hill getting ready for his 3rd start. 1-0 with a 1.93 earned run average. 20 strikeouts in those 2 starts. He's given up 8 hits in 14 innings. Walked only 1. And opponents hitting at 160 against Rich Hill. Last time out against a very good Toronto Blue Jays team. 7 innings giving up 3 runs, and he struck out 10 along the way.
The Red Sox defense is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, and they are 11th in the American League with 92 errors on the season. Devin Marrero will be at third base. Xander Bogaerts the shortstop. Dustin Pedroia at second. And Travis Shaw, the first baseman, left to right. Brock Holt, Jackie Bradley Jr., Moogie Betts, and Sandy Leon doing the catching for Rich Hill.
Umpiring crew tonight, Jim Joyce has the play calling the balls and strikes. He is the crew chief with Greg Gibson at first base. Carlos Torres at second base, and Chad Fairchild is the umpire at third. We're available. This telecast can be heard in Spanish by selecting the SAP button on your television remote. Enjoy the game.
Buenas noches, amigos.
A little bit on the cool side here tonight at Fenway Park. It is 58 degrees. The breeze in from right at 9 miles per hour. And the forecast partly cloudy for the remainder of the evening. Red Sox getting ready for their final series of the homestand and the schedule for the Red Sox at home as we check out the American League wildcard scenario. And the Orioles on the outside looking in right now, but still in the mix. They're 3.5 games back currently of the Astros, and you got the Twins and Angels in between, but the stranger things have happened as we head down the stretch. Baltimore tonight without Adam Jones, as Buck Showalter's team certainly would love to have him in the lineup, but he has had some back spasms lately and had an MRI, and he was cleared to play but still not well enough to play. And we will see how much we will have the opportunity to watch Adam Jones in this series. Certainly a huge part of what Buck Showalter's team does, and smack dab in the middle of the lineup generally every day. So this game's still meaningful for the Baltimore Orioles, and always meaningful for Wally, who was on the field for a pregame ceremony today as he gets ready for the final homestand. And he's in the alternate red jersey like the Red Sox are tonight on this Friday night from Fenway. Well, Nolan Reimold making his way to the plate. They usher Wally off the field. Reimold at 245 with 5 home runs and 16 runs batted in. It'll be Reimold, Machado, and Davis here in the first inning. Rich Hill has truly been a remarkable story. A guy who makes his way back to the big leagues in 2 fantastic starts in a row, and first pitch strike getting things underway on the swing by Reimold.
That's amazing when you look at the numbers in the 2 starts he's made. Gone 7 innings in both starts against Tampa Bay and Toronto. Had 10 strikeouts in each one of those games.
Reimold will take it apparently a little bit low, and it's a ball and a strike. And the arsenal so far for Rich Hill in those 2 starts. So started 70 games in the major leagues. In fact, his first 70 in the majors were as a starter, as this one sent foul, backing out of play.
Never had a start against the Orioles. 10 career relief appearances against Baltimore, but for a total of 6 innings.
It was starting games for the Orioles back in 2009. Actually, the last time he was starting games. 1-2 pitch is into center field. A base hit for Nolan Reimold. Well, tonight's Cold Hard Facts are brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Rich Hill is the first pitcher in franchise history with 10 or more strikeouts in each of his first 2 starts with the Red Sox. It was remarkable doing it against Tampa Bay at Tampa Bay and at Toronto last time out. So this is the first start that Rich Hill has had here at Fenway Park for the Red Sox as he gets ready here to deal with Manny Machado. Runner at first, nobody out here in the top of the first inning. And Machado fouls it off to the right out of play.
You know, last time we saw a Hill pitch, he did a couple of different things. He dropped down to the side a few times against left-handers with breaking balls. And he also threw a split-fingered fastball in that game, which we didn't see in the first outing against Tampa Bay.
So a few weapons that he pulled out of his pocket last time out. See what changes he makes tonight in his 3rd start. Close pitch, but just missing off the outside edge, and that curveball's been very good for him in the first 2 starts. Chris Davis waiting on deck. On the ground, foul over towards the O's dugout and into it. Alex Spear of the Boston Globe chipping in tonight as usual. Machado and Harper, the 6th pair of players ever to hit 30-plus home runs in the same year at age 22 or younger. One-two pitch. And a foul off to the right out of play. Still 1-2.
And we're talking about Machado in that series we had down in Baltimore. Pretty much a complete player. I mean, you'll see the 5-game hitting streak he's on right now. But, you know, an average that's up around 290, 30 home runs. He's got 17 stolen bases. Very good defensively. And just about do it all.
In the air to right field, sending Mookie Betts back, and he leaps to make the catch. Now he's got a chance for 2. Fires towards first, the throw's offline, and getting around the tag safely back to the bag is Reimold. He was very close to running out of the baseline to get out of the way of that. And Torey Lovullo's going to come out and argue.
Yeah, I think he's going to question that decision by Reimold to avoid the tag. First of all, Betts turning the wrong way, had to regroup very quickly to make the catch and then fire it back in as quickly as possible. Was a little bit off balance on the throw, and I think that's one of the reasons it sailed on him. See Reimold right there, confused, as he thought the ball was going to get by Betts, and then he got by Shaw.
Apparently not running out of the baseline. It was close, but did appear that he stayed within. We'll get a better look at this right down the line.
Look where he is right now and where he ends up.
Ooh.
I think he's okay.
Able to make contact with the bag, that's for sure, as he did, as the Red Sox now go into the shift on the right side with Chris Davis coming up. They keep it tight to the infield, the double play possibilities. A good throw there by Betts, and there's no doubt they got him at first base, but throw was offline as Betts just tried to get it back in as quickly as he could and was off balance on the throw. .262, 43 home runs and 110 runs batted in for Davis. And into the shift on the left side. It is Bogarts to Pedroia on to first for the double play. So in the end, the Red Sox do get their double play. Boston coming up. The Red Sox starting lineup is brought to you by your Eastern Hyundai dealers. Mookie Betts leading it off in right field with Dustin Pedroia at second base. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop with David Ortiz, the DH. Travis Shaw at first base with Devin Marrero at third base tonight. Brock Holt is in left field. Sandy Leon doing the catching for Rich Hill as he has in each of his two previous starts. And Jackie Bradley Jr. bats ninth in center field. Starting pitcher for the Orioles, presented by your New England Nissan dealers. Kevin Gausman making his 24th appearance, 16th start, 3-6 with a 4.26 ERA, 88 strikeouts in 99 and a third innings. Ready with his first pitch to Mookie Betts. That's in there for strike one at 94 miles an hour. No decision last time out at Tampa Bay against the Rays. 6 innings, 4 runs in that outing, 6 strikeouts. He started the year in the bullpen for the Orioles and now making a regular start for them in his 16th start of the year.
Yeah, it's been very good against the Red Sox in particular. 2-0 with a 2.12. That's in 4 starts and some relief appearances. That last start against the Red Sox, very impressive. 6 innings in that game. Only 2 hits and no runs given up.
109 pitches in that outing as he deals with Mookie Betts here in the first inning. Behind him, 2-1. And Betts hits it on the ground up the middle. Hardy to his left, spins and fires and gets him. The all-star shortstop J.J. Hardy turning in a pretty good play right there.
Now the Orioles defense is brought to you by DraftKings. They are the best in the American League. Only 68 errors on the season. Manny Machado at third base. J.J. Hardy just made that great play at shortstop. Jonathan Scope and Chris Davis at first. Left to right, Steve Pearce, Nolan Reimold, and Dariel Alvarez. Caleb Joseph doing the catching for Gausman.
Yeah, very impressive play as always out of J.J. Hardy, and as you just pointed out, the defense has been impressive all the way around for the Orioles this season.
I mean, it looked like a base hit for Mookie Betts up the middle, but there's J.J. Hardy, and he just spins and right over the top with the throw to get the out at first base. Gold Glove shortstop. See the range that he has to cover, the ground he has to cover just to get to that ball, then get in that good throwing position to make an accurate throw to first base for a guy with speed.
Highest fielding percentage in the majors right now, .993. A strike in there to Pedroia at 95 miles an hour from Gausman. Plenty of Pedroia jerseys throughout this ballpark as Dustin standing in for the first time tonight. He was 4 for 12 in the series against Tampa Bay that just wrapped up. Played 3 of the 4 games and fouls that pitch off. 2-2. Dustin overall 297 with 12 homers and 42 runs batted in. Against the Orioles, he's 10 for his last 26. And a couple of home runs last time the Red Sox were at Camden Yards in Baltimore. As Jim Joyce doing some work in front of the plate, actually behind the plate. Little housekeeping. They're good to go now. The count of 2-2. On the ground right side, Jonathan Scope ranging to his left, throws out Pedroia for the second out here of the first inning. Well, right now, Ace Ticket has your tickets to all Boston Bruins, Boston Celtics, and New England Patriots games. Visit aceticket.com for the best seats at the best prices. Ace Ticket, it's more than a ticket. Two down in the inning for Xander Bogaerts. 322, 7 homers, and 79 runs batted in for Xander. Thursday night snapped a career-long 12-game hitting streak in which he hit .396 during that streak. They're trying to start a new streak tonight after going 0 for 3 in the ballgame last night. Did walk, so did get on base in the game. On a strike now to Bogaerts. Second in the American League in average, 5th in the majors in average, and a pop-up foul ground that'll get into the seats and out of play. Caleb Joseph over a few steps but had no play, back into the crowd. Gausman ready with a 1-2 pitch. And that one's going to miss inside. He's got that also, a 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
Yeah, he was very impressive in that start down in Baltimore. Fastball, breaking ball, split-fingered fastball. Occasional straight change.
Gausman in his career against the Red Sox 2-0 with a 2.12 ERA. And a ground ball that is a foul ball according to Bogaerts. Throw to first base, and that is out. Apparently Bogaerts saying went off his leg. But the umpire, Jim Joyce, didn't agree. The play goes through, and Manny Machado throws out Bogaerts. Now Lovello's going to come out and argue as Bogaerts just walks by him. So Xander thought he fouled it off himself and did not run. Jim Joyce said it did not get any part of Xander, and 5-3 on the putout as it stands right now.
Let's take a look on replay, see if we can pick anything up. There's contact. If it got him, it just barely got him on the toe.
It looked like it changed direction, I thought, by his foot. We'll see. We'll get a better look here.
It's awfully tough to tell. Bogaerts limping out of the batter's box.
And the Red Sox are taking the field right now, so
Apparently, it's not going anywhere.
No. So the conversation continues here. I'm not sure if this is something you can challenge or not.
Very difficult to tell whether, if it did get Bogaerts, it just got him, it barely got him. And I'm not so sure. Bogaerts still shaking his head like it did hit his toe. But the Red Sox out there getting ready for next inning.
So scoreless at the end of one here from Fenway. Jenny visit family-owned restaurant in the North Shore. Plus, Jenny cooks with the head chef at a popular restaurant in the North End. Catch it all on Dining Playbook tomorrow morning at 9. And David Ortiz talking with Torey Lovullo may have seen something as he was on deck there, and it certainly came off strangely, and we couldn't tell after a few replays whether or not it made contact. Xander certainly thinks it did.
Yeah, it's very hard to tell, and he'd be the only guy that knows because he can feel it.
So on to the second inning we go, and Steve Pearce leading it off. And a pitch in there for strike one right down the middle as it turns out. Pearce, Scope, and Joseph to bat here in the inning. An off single by Nolan Reimold in the first, but he was erased on a double play. And pretty uneventful first inning for Rich Hill. Well, he likes it. One pitch fouled back, 0-2. First ever start at Fenway Park for Rich Hill. Third major league start of this year after being signed to a minor league contract by the Red Sox in August. First major league stint since he was a member of the Orioles in 2009 when he made 13 starts for the O's. Right side of the infield, and Travis Shaw makes the catch for the first out of the second inning. So one away, and that'll take us to Jonathan Scope, the second baseman for the O's. .278 with 15 homers and 39 runs batted in. Scope earlier this month had a 12-game hitting streak, a career-high 12-game hitting streak, September the 7th through the 19th. And a swing and a miss evens the count at 1-1.
There's that split-fingered fastball we were talking about from Rich Hill. Didn't see any of those down in the start in Tampa Bay his first start, but saw a few of them last time out. Not much movement on it, but certainly off speed enough to full scope.
And Rich Hill coming into this third outing with a nifty 1.93 earned run average. Holding up was Scope, and it is now 3-1. Look over those first two outings. Only one walk for Rich Hill in the 2 innings, or the 14 innings, 2 outings. Popped up left side as Bogaerts onto the outfield lawn, and he puts it away for out number 2. Well, it's time now for tonight's Dunkin' Donuts poll question. How do you like your coffee? Text 1 for hot, text 2 for iced. Text your answer to 536-536. Message and data rates may apply. 1 message per vote. Visit NESN.com/terms for terms and conditions as well as privacy policy.
I got a feeling that's going to be a very close vote. I prefer hot.
I prefer hot, but in the summer I do like ice, so it's different.
Yeah, I don't like iced coffee. I don't know what it is. Yeah, I like it hot.
2 down here in the second inning. Caleb Joseph, the batter, the catcher for the Orioles. 244, 11 homers, 49 runs batted in. He did the bulk of the catching while Matt Wieters was on the DL, of course, with the Tommy John surgery. And so they've been very careful with Wieters this year. So Joseph with a lot of time behind the plate as well. On the ground, to the backhand goes Bogaerts, plants and throws, and that's a clean and easy second inning for Rich Hill. Inning and a half done, scoreless from the fence. Number 1 app for live baseball. Get MLB.com and bat for your smartphone or your tablet today. Now David Ortiz leading it off here in the bottom of the second inning after Kevin Gausman had a 1-2-3 first. Ortiz will take a pitch outside for ball 1. Look at a 266 with 36 home runs and 101 runs batted in.
He's had good success in his career against the Gausman, 4 for 10 with a couple of home runs.
Gausman falling behind here 3-0. He had 3 ground ball outs in the first inning. Most home runs for David Ortiz since the 06 season when he hit 54 of them here. On the ground down the first base line, foul just wide of the bag at first. Well, tomorrow at 3, don't miss. Red Sox first pitch presented by Joseph Abboud, available at Men's Warehouse. Adam, Steve Lyons, and Tim Wakefield will preview Henry Owens' next start this Sunday against the Orioles. Well, the Red Sox tomorrow going with a bullpen game, and it'll be Craig Breslow gets the start tomorrow in Game 2 of the series. There's a liner into right center field for Ortiz. Going to get down. Alvarez trying to cut it off. He cannot. It gets under his glove. Reimold will back in the triangle, and it is a double for David Ortiz to begin things in the second inning.
Second time we've seen this do it in a couple of nights. Beat the shift with a line drive base hit. This time it gets to the right of Daryl Alvarez out there in right field, and Ortiz able to leg it into second base for the double. Swinging 3-0, swinging 3-1, and on the 3-1 count, the line drive headed up toward 420 before it's knocked down.
Well, David Ortiz with a double to get it started here in the second inning. Here is Travis Shaw. Yeah, that's going to miss at 94 miles an hour for ball one. 0 for 3 in the ball game last night. He hits at 288 overall with 11 home runs, 30 runs batted in. And a career best 15 game on base streak come to an end here last night in the finale of the series against Tampa Bay. Pitch on the corner for a strike, and it's 1-1.
Keeping that fastball away from the lefties, David Ortiz, and now to Travis Shaw.
And the shift here on Shaw on the right side of the infield. Lions hit foul back into the grandstand, off to the left, out of play. Against the O's this year, it's not been one of the better teams for Shaw. He is 1 for 12. The one part is a home run, though. Hitting a 302 against everybody else that he has faced, but the Orioles have not gone well for him so far. 2 balls, 2 strikes now to Shaw. Swing and a miss, off balance, and he strikes out the first K of the night for Kevin Gausman. Now it's now time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag NetsandDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Tweet your photos now. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Runner at second base, 1 out here in the second inning, and it'll bring up Devin Marrero. Getting another start at third base for Marrero. So far, 9 for 27. Works out to be 333. No homers and a run batted in. Rolls it over foul. Played in 3 of the 4 games against Tampa Bay. Ended up going 1 for 8 in the series against the Rays.
And Pablo Sandoval still out of the lineup with pneumonia. I wonder if we'll see him the rest of the season. He's been out for quite a while now, and we'll have to wait and see, but that has to get cleared up first.
A little bit low, and it's 1-1. Gausman listed at 6'3", but only 190 pounds. From Colorado, a first-round pick, 4th overall by the Orioles out of Louisiana State University. 1-1. And that has Marrero backing up. Ball 2. No decisions in 3 of his last 4 outings. Did get a win the time before last, and again that was against the Red Sox at Camden Yards in Baltimore. A 6-inning no-run effort, only giving up 2 hits. Like Marrero's kind of bailing there, but he fouls it off. 2-2. Brock Holt waiting on deck, and tonight getting a start in the outfield, starting in left field. Cued off the end of the bat, foul over by the fungo circle. Remains 2-2. Well, local Dunkin' Donuts franchisees are proud to give back to the communities in which they live and work. Tonight we welcome Boy Scout Troop 511 to historic Fenway Park. Dunkin' Donuts committed to the community. David Ortiz at second base. 1 out here in the 2nd inning. David started this inning with a double. Fouled off to the right, out of play.
That's how they wanted to elevate the fastball, but it stayed down in a pretty good hitting zone for Marrero, except he fouls it off. See the catcher give the high target, but the pitch is going to be down in the zone right about the middle of the plate.
Swing and a miss as he goes lunging after that pitch, and it's back-to-back strikeouts for Gausman. 2 down.
Yeah, last time he faced the Red Sox, he had 7 strikeouts in those 6 innings. 2 tonight. 1 on a split-fingered fastball, and this last one on Marrero on the breaking ball. There's the curveball. It's a pretty hard curveball, too, from Gausman.
So 2 down. David Ortiz started the inning with a double. He's still at second base with 2 outs. And a chance here for Brock Holt. 281, 2 homers, 41 runs driven in for Holt. Red Sox All-Star representative this year. As he takes a pitch outside for ball 1. He's done well against the Orioles this year in 13 games, hitting at .326. An on-base percentage of .415 against the O's. The breakdown 15 for 46. Home run, couple of doubles. As he jumps ahead in the count, 2-0. Holt has enjoyed hitting at Fenway Park since July the 26th, hitting at .315 here at Fenway. Hitting his 8th start of the year in left field tonight. Down and in, 3-0.
I would give Holt the green light right here with Sandy Leone on deck behind him. Lefty against righty. Let him go ahead and swing. 3-0. See if he can drive in Ortiz.
Takes the strike at 95 miles an hour. Started 49 games at second base, 21 at third, 17 in right, 7 at short, 5 at first base, 2 in center. And again, his 8th tonight in left field. Fouling that pitch off. Full count now.
And no fastball again on the 3-1 count. He gets the split-fingered fastball 3-1 to foul it off. Here comes the splitter now, and you can see Holt just topping it. And there is the split-fingered grip. The difference between that and a changeup, that pitch usually dips a little bit where a changeup does not.
Up the middle, and it is picked by Hardy. The throw is just in time. That one right up over the bag at second, and Hardy able to glove it, and he throws out Holt to end the inning scoreless through 2. To the gates tomorrow, and don't miss on-field photo day on Sunday. All fans will also have the opportunity to run the bases after Sunday's game, all part of the Fan Appreciation Month at Fenway Park. Visit RedSox.com for tickets and more information. Scoreless as we head to the top half of the third inning. J.J. Hardy leading it off. Alex Spear, the Boston Globe, stepping in for us. Good to see you, Alex.
Great to be back. Thanks again.
Well, we seem to be adding a general manager every day for the Red Sox. And today the announcement coming in that Frank Wren will be joining the organization as well. He's here today. And tell us a little bit about where he fits in and now where all the alignment is as far as the general managers and baseball operations go.
Yeah, clearly there's a welcome sign of the baseball executives here type of area. But Frank Wren is someone who Dave Dombrowski has worked with for a long period of time. They have a history together in Florida. He's going to remain based in Atlanta, where he served as the GM and prior to that assistant GM for a number of years. I believe he was in the Braves system for 14 years. The last 5 of them, I believe, as general manager. And Frank Wren is someone who is very respected as a top evaluator. Dombrowski knows what the conversation style is going to be with him in the quality of player evaluation, so he knows he's someone he can trust. And it sounds like Frank Wren is going to primarily be out on the road doing player evaluations, offering his feedback on, in no small part, major league players, player acquisitions. But he can contribute at a number of levels of the organization because he's run entire baseball operations departments before. So if they wanted him to be able to evaluate players in potentially a minor league transaction, then certainly he would be in a position. His experience in the game would permit him to do that. And regarding your question about how he fits in, so he's going to report directly to Dave Dombrowski. He's going to be kind of a trusted evaluative voice who's going to be contributing to the conversations about the type of personnel moves that the Red Sox will want to have. Mike Hazen is going to be working with Dombrowski kind of, as a right-hand man on just about every facet of an organization. Frank Wren's role isn't going to be, it doesn't seem like that as all-encompassing. It's not going to be related to all of the departments that fall within baseball operations, but he'll be a very important voice for the Red Sox.
It seems like baseball is going in this direction where there is a president of baseball operations, and before you had sort of that guy at times, but more not the general manager was that guy, and it seems like more and more this is now the new way baseball is going. And
this is a reflection of the direction that baseball as an industry is going about its decision-making processes. It used to be that there was a pretty straightforward process where you might have 1 or 2 scouts in an entire organization. That was it. They were covering pro, they were covering amateur. Their responsibilities were enormous, but we've moved well beyond that into areas of greater and greater specialization, beginning with the scouting side of things, pro scouting, minor league scouting, amateur scouting, and then moving beyond that into the new fields that baseball is embracing, whether it's kind of new ways of thinking about biomechanical research to figure out pitcher health, or whether it is thinking about the medical side of thing, or whether it's thinking about some newfangled areas that are being explored, like neuro scouting, where the Red Sox have been working with kind of cognitive scientists in order to figure out, in order to give quantitative evaluations of hand-eye coordination, for instance, in various tests that are kind of like video games. So there are all kinds of...
I'll tell you what, if I had a dime, for every time Jerry talked about that, then I would be a very wealthy man. I mean, he is always talking about that.
I guarantee you that Jerry's neuro score would have been off the charts.
Off the charts.
I don't think I could play today.
What was the other thing you said? You said something bio something?
Yeah. We're dealing with biomechanical analyses, looking at pitchers' deliveries and trying to figure out whether or not they lend themselves to health, and how you might be able to tweak, how you might be able to tweak an arm slot, with kind of some precision. This is stuff that's been around the game for years and years, that scouts have had a traditional language. Right now, it's just kind of getting into a different area where front offices are kind of figuring out ways of giving numbers to things that scouts have been seeing for ages, and the impetus behind that is in part, it's in part that places like people like Billy Beane were really successful, and it's also in part because owners speak the language of numbers in many cases, and so it's really helpful to have these, traditional scouting notions, such as, oh, this guy has really clean mechanics. He has, a delivery that suggests that he should be able to stay healthy. Well, now you have means of, you kind of have more formal ways of evaluating that kind of data-driven stuff that really speaks to owners who might not have that same player evaluation background.
I can tell you from experience that today's game of baseball is so much far advanced than when I played the game. It's ridiculous. You talked about the idea of having 2 scouts around. I mean, that was it.
Yeah.
You had an advanced scout that went out and saw the club, prior. You come back, give you a report, and that's what you had on the other team. That's it.
And
Nothing
in his spare
else.
time, probably scouted 20 amateur guys while he was covering a 3-game series.
Alex can't hang around for another inning.
Delighted to do it.
All right, striking out the side is Rich Hill. We're back with more. We're scoreless from Fenway. Back at Fenway Park, Tim Wakefield. Well, a lot of kids in the Legend Suite tonight here at Fenway. We are scoreless into the bottom of the 3rd inning. Sandy Leon, Jackie Bradley Jr., and Mookie Betts to bat here in the inning. Alex Spear, the Boston Globe, with us. And Alex, last inning we saw Rich Hill strike out the side. He has been an incredible story so far coming back here for the Red Sox this year.
I mean, it's unbelievable for a guy to have basically been, released by the Nationals as a reliever, to have gone and pitched with an American Legion team in his hometown of Milton, and find that, okay, I'm going to go ahead and change arm slots and throw some extended bullpens and ditch this whole reliever thing, which I thought I had been remaking my career by becoming a drop-down sidearm reliever with the Red Sox in 2010. No, let's change that, and all of a sudden find the ability with a fastball, and curveball to get just tons of swings and misses and bad contact.
Not sure what's happened to Jim Joyce here on this foul ball, but he is clearly in some pain. The trainer's out to check on him.
Let's take a look on replay, see if we can see exactly what happened. The ball bouncing up, and I don't know if they got him in the shoulder. But quickly he's down to hands on knees, and he's kind of lost sight of the baseball, but it looks like maybe the shoulder.
You see it go by and behind Sandy Leon, and tough to tell where it got, but he's been kind of hunched over ever since. Jerry, when you played, they had that giant thing that they used to wear in front that was very protective, I might add.
It really was, and the big balloon, they called it. And they'd bring that thing right up under their neck where their mask stopped, and I mean, the ball would just bounce right off it.
And completely changed the strike zone when they did away with that,
yes,
and
they did.
And started having the catcher, or rather the umpire, get into that slot between the catcher and the batter. You hear a lot about how the strike zone has shifted in baseball over a number of years, decades even. that's a large part of it.
I think the strike zone has changed a lot this year, to be quite honest with you. I mean, we talk about it a lot. I think more high strikes are being called now than they ever have been in a long time, because there was a span in baseball, a period where you could not throw a ball above a belt that was called a strike, and it seems like it's creeping up and creeping up.
Well, there's an interesting thing happening in baseball. So for a number of years, the strike zone had actually been dropping down below the knees. They changed the rule book interpretation of the strike zone in the late 90s, and at the time they didn't actually think that it would be called below the knees, but then they started calling it below the knees with Questek and its successors over the last couple of years. And so you started having a number of pitchers exploiting that, but also a number of hitters becoming really good low ball hitters.
Right.
And so now what you're seeing is an influx of pitchers who are doing an incredible job of attacking the high part of the strike zone, which is an area that had basically been ignored by pitchers for a lengthy period of time because of that downward drift of the strike zone. And so with that, you're starting to have that higher strike. You're seeing it a lot more, and I agree with you entirely. And quite frankly, I think that if they wanted to go rule book on it, they probably would have grounds to start calling an even higher strike zone. And if you saw both directions of the strike zone being expanded, then this kind of offensive decline that we've talked about in Major League Baseball over the last number of years, things would get even pretty ugly.
I agree with you, Alex, and I think it's more rule book now than it's ever been for a long, long time that I can remember, because, I mean, it was so ridiculous. For one, it was the top of the knees to the belt. That was the strike zone for a pitcher, and it was crazy. It was wider. They would call it wider than the actual expanse of the plate, and so you had the kind of famous interpretations of pitches that would be 6 inches off the plate would be called strikes, and change the game in that facet. But you definitely had a very narrow vertical area for the strike zone from top to bottom. And so that's what they wanted to change. They wanted to bring it in and have the strike zone be enforced just over the plate, but they also wanted to have it be closer to rulebook height. And so that's what you started seeing them able to do with Questek. But that didn't start till after Glavine and Maddox were out of baseball, because they had the benefit of the outside part of the plate.
Well, and we remember Curt Schilling demolishing a Questek camera at considerable cost to Major League Baseball, because he was so angry about having learned the strike zones of each specific umpire and not getting that borderline to outside ball called a strike. That pitchers were kind of flipping out for a period of time, thinking that Questek was going to mean the end of, the absolute end of successful pitching, when in fact it kind of turned into the opposite, where the strike zone ended up expanding over the course of a 5-year period from 2009 to 2014. There have been a couple of studies run that suggest that the average size of the strike zone expanded by about 9 to 10%.
Well, strikeout of Sandy Leon. Jackie Bradley Jr. here with a full count as Kevin Gausman deals. And that is in there for strike 3. That is strikeout number 4 for Gausman, and back-to-back Ks, both called third strikes here in the inning. DraftKings.com is paying out over $300 million this baseball season. DraftKings has given out $34 million to Boston residents alone since the site launched. Get your free entry into a one-day fantasy baseball contest today using promo code NESSN. We're talking about the umpires, and Alex, it seems like the system now is so much better, how they are evaluated year to year, game in, game out. I mean, it was at one point, it was like a Supreme Court justice as far as what. And that's different now. I mean,
you had to be the worst umpire in the world to be removed from the game of baseball. I mean, you just, once you got a job as an umpire, you were there forever.
Yep. And now they've seen a steady increase over the course of time that they've been having these formal evaluations, to the point where Major League Baseball views the umpires as being right on balls and strikes about 94 to 95% of the time over the last couple of years.
That's good.
That's pretty amazing.
And they were so arrogant. It was unbelievable, because they knew they weren't going to go in. Nothing was going to happen to them, and they could do whatever they wanted to do. And it was. Now they're being monitored and they're being watched, and I think it's better for the game. There was an
absolute war between umpires and the commissioner's office over the idea of having a single enforced strike zone. The idea that it wasn't going to be specific to the umpire, but that instead they were going to try to enforce the rule book. Sandy Alderson at the time was the commissioner's office guy who was in charge of creating the enforcement of it. He was in absolute war with the umpires. They went on strike. That ended very badly for the umpires, and it's a pretty interesting history that's now a part of the past, because now kind of everyone is on board with the idea of, okay, let's call the strike zone, let's call it accurately. We have the tools to be able to make sure that that's happening.
And I guess that's really where it started now, looking back on it. I mean, some of those umpires that did go on strike did not come back. That was it for those guys. They didn't bring some of those guys back.
Absolutely. And then the guys who replaced them ended up being trained on kind of the new rule book enforcement, so they weren't going to get to the major leagues unless they had buy-in to the way of doing things. And so now you have guys who have been trained on the same testing systems that they're being used, that they're being evaluated on. And the result is that you're having umpires who are kind of doing what Major League Baseball wants them to do.
2 down here. Betts working the walk, and Dustin Pedroia getting his second look at Kevin Gausman. And Pablo Sandoval still out with pneumonia. Do you get a feel as to whether or not we will see Pablo again this year?
They haven't made any formal determination. It's tough to think that a guy who's going to be, who's going to be on his bed for, the better part of a week is going to be in position to come back before the end of the season at this point.
Well, base hit here for Pedroia back up the middle, and Betts doing a nice job getting first to third.
That looked like Dustin got a low fastball that time, and right back up the middle for Pedroia. So 1 for 2 on the night. If J.J. Hardy can't get it, nobody can get it. And there's Mookie Betts with his speed after the 2-out walk to get into third base. So a little first and third action with 2 outs.
Here comes Xander Bogaerts here. A chance for the Red Sox to do some damage here with 2 down after Gausman had struck out the first 2 to begin the inning. Sandy Leon and Jackie Bradley Jr. both called third strikes, but a walk and a single. Now Bogaerts standing in. And this guy right now appears to be filled with confidence and has all the reason to really be that confident right now.
And he may be on the cusp of taking his game to another level. You start to see just little hints of it, whether or not maybe it's taking a walk in his first at bat to set up the pitchers for the subsequent at bats. Maybe it's doing something like turning on that fastball in that he's seeing early in the count, or the other night when it was actually a slider that he was anticipating, it just demolished it over the over the wall in left field. You see the upside beyond what he's already doing.
Yeah.
He focused on contact first this year, getting past the swing and miss, but he's been expanding the strike zone a lot in order to do that. That's why his on-base percentage isn't great. There's probably going to come a time where he's narrowing that strike zone, narrowing in, locking in on those pitches that he really is going to attack early in the counts, and you might see some special things from him at shortstop.
That's what we've been talking about that, and I think that's the next step in his development as a hitter, where he gets those counts 2-0, 2-1, 3-1. That he's going to be looking for balls middle in, something that he can pull out of the ballpark for a home run.
Of course, no one's going to complain about him hitting 320, 325 as a 22-year-old in the big leagues. He's putting himself in pretty select company already, but when you see guys who have just the ability to control the bat in order to produce those kinds of averages at a young age, there's probably more in the tank that can be accomplished as they gain strength and experience.
Was ahead here 3-0. And there's a strike at the bottom of the strike zone. 3-1.
See, these are the kind of counts I'm talking about right now. 3-1, where you kind of narrow down your strike zone and you look for something middle in, something you can drive out of the ballpark, and all of a sudden you find you got yourself a 3-run home run. I think that's his next step in development.
And I think he was actually close to that point in 2013. It was really interesting talking to him then about how he would focus on Daniel Nava's at-bats to see that narrow area that Nava would look for.
So that's a good healthy cut right there, 3-1. He did get a pitch that was middle in, and it looked like he had that type of swing, not that opposite field swing that we generally see, but you can see he's trying to drive that ball, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Now it's a different story, 3-2. It's contact.
Now it is Betts at third, Pedroia across the diamond at first. 2 down here in the third inning. And getting time is Xander Bogaerts from home plate umpire Jim Joyce. Now Gausman backs off. So Bogaerts has stepped out. Gausman's backed off. Back and forth we go. Dave Wallace, former Red Sox pitching coach, now the pitching coach for the Orioles.
Done a remarkable job finding some kind of diamonds in the rough and helping to turn them into very valuable members of the O's rotation over the last couple of years.
Bogaerts to left field, and this one is going to be back and into the corner. On a hop to the wall. Scoring from third is Betts. Pedroia going to try and score from first. Go to the plate, and he will be out at the plate as Pedroia has gone down. Holding on to the baseball is Joseph. The Red Sox do get a run in and take a 1-0 lead. As the Red Sox able to jump on that and take advantage of it, and it's Bogaerts who drives it in. Alex Spear, as always, thanks very much.
Great to see you guys.
One to nothing. Red Sox have the lead over the Orioles as we head into the fourth inning. Nolan Reimold leading it off here for Baltimore. Mitchell striking out the side in order in the third inning. Mitchell will drop in there for a strike, and it evens at 1-1. Reimold with a base hit to center field in the first inning, and then he'll proceeded to retire the next 8 batters in a row. And here is Reimold again, second time through now for Rich Hill. Tampa Bay and Toronto tonight tied 2-2 at the Rogers Center in Toronto. The Rays leaving here last night and going north of the border, and White Sox out to a 2-0 lead over the Yankees tonight in the fourth inning. With 3 games now between Toronto and New York in the American League East.
Well, the Red Sox go into New York next week for a 4-game series, Monday through Thursday.
Popped up, foul ground as Travis Shaw heads over. He's got a play, and he makes it for the first out of the fourth inning. By putting people and communities first, Eastern Bank helps make good things happen. Watch how good things are happening to local people at easternbank.com/goodthingshappen. A little cool tonight at Fenway Park. High 50s to begin the game at 58 degrees. One out in the fourth for Manny Machado. Flied out to right field in the first. Center fielder Jackie Bradley Jr. over towards right center. Gap out there in left center. Ball and a strike now to Machado. Machado coming into the 5-game hitting streak. Hitting at 300 in the last 5 games. And this is off the glove of Hill. Slows it up. Pedroia around the bag at second. His throw is going to be in time. Now Rich Hill ends up helping himself out. That may have gone back up the middle and into center, but kind of slowed it down. Gave Pedroia a chance to run in behind it. And a bang play at first. As of right now, Manny Machado is out. So what Schultz is going to do.
I think they got to check it out on video first. Here's Pedroia making the backhanded play, and that's tough, right behind the bag. And here's the throw to first base. Is it in time? Very close. Rich Hill knocking that ball down, and Pedroia able to make the play and make it that close at first base. I think they're going to challenge this. No, they're not.
It looked like you got him. So 2 down, no challenge here from the Yos. And Chris Davis coming up. Nice play there. And it looked like it went over the bag, too. Pedroia dealing with all kinds of stuff as he was racing in to handle that. As Chris Davis with a big swing and a miss. Davis grounded into a 6-4-3 double play back in the first inning.
There's the drop down to the side that time by Rich Hill. I think that's the first time we've seen that tonight, where he has dropped down to the side. Look a little bit like his old delivery.
Foul off to the left out of play. 0-2 the count here to Chris Davis. Shifting on the right side are the Red Sox right now. Pedroia in short right field. They bring Marrero, the third baseman, to the right side of the infield. Leave Xander on the left side. Davis first in home runs with 43 in the American League. Second in RBIs. Fourth in slugging percentage. Fourth in walks. He's second in RBIs to Josh Donaldson, who has 120, setting the pace in the American League. The Blue Jays third baseman.
That time Hill dropped down with the breaking ball. The first time it was the fastball. The second time it was the breaking ball.
Swing and a miss, and Davis strikes out. It's 11 in a row. Retired by Rich Hill. He's got it going on again tonight. Eastern Bank and get $100. Just text Benny to 36698. On to the bottom of the fourth inning back at Fenway Park. 1-0. Red Sox have the lead, and David Ortiz leading it off. It's a strike over the outside corner. David doubled in the second inning. Into the shift, the Orioles on the right side. Outfield straight away, and they pinch it in the outfield. There's a ground ball into the shift on the right side. J.J. Hardy throwing out Ortiz for the first out here at the bottom of the fourth inning. The college football is back tomorrow. The Delaware Blue Hens fly south to square off against the Tar Heels in Chapel Hill. It's Delaware, North Carolina, live on Nesson tomorrow at 12:30. One out in the fourth, and it brings up Travis Shaw. He struck out swinging in the second. That'll bounce in for ball one. Gausman has walked one tonight, struck out four. On the ground by the mound. Again, it's Hardy on the right side. And he's handled the first two outs here of the fourth inning. Celebrity Cruises is the official cruise line of the Red Sox. Join Louis Tion, Jim Rice, Steve Lyons, and more on January 9th as they sail the Caribbean on Celebrity's 2016 Red Sox Fan Cruise. Space is limited. Call 1-888-727-4907 or contact your travel agent today. Two outs in the fourth inning for Devin Marrero. Struck out swinging in the second. Four strikeouts for Gausman through the first 3 2/3. And there's a strike right down the middle at 95 miles an hour. They're trying to elevate here. And they do. And striking out is Marrero. That's 5 strikeouts for Gausman. Red Sox down in order, but on top, 1-0. The Lowell Memorial Auditorium. Visit lowellauditorium.com for tickets. Fifth inning, 1-0. Red Sox have the lead over the Orioles, and it is Steve Pearce leading it off here for the O's. Pearce popped out of the first baseman Travis Shaw in the second inning, 0 for 1. Eleven in a row retired by Rich Hill as he starts this fifth inning. Gave up a base hit to Nolan Reimold to begin the first inning and has retired everybody since. Oh, liner foul out ahead of that is Pearce. Six-game hitting streak for Pearce coming into tonight's game. Hitting at 400 during the streak, 8 for 20. Thought about it, but lays off a pitch outside. 2-2.
Tried to tempt him with that split-fingered fastball in the outside part of the plate, actually off the outside part of the plate, but Pearce would not bite.
Jonathan Scope waiting on deck. Orioles featuring 4, 5, and 6 in their order. They'll skip in the dirt. Full count. Foul back. Pearce gets a piece, and he'll see a seventh pitch. Pearce had home runs in each of the first two games to begin the year. Total of 14 on the season. Adam Jones on the bench tonight, again with some back spasms, some back problems. Went and got an MRI. That was clear, but still not well enough to play. And boy, the Orioles need him right now. So one tap foul again. Different looking Orioles lineup when he is in it, no doubt about it.
And very seldom when we see him in that position. Usually against the Red Sox, he's in there every single game.
Stretching out that back right now. Instead tonight it's Nolan Reimold who is in center field. Payoff pitch. And Pearce hits a fly ball to right field. Mookie Betts out there in right for the first out of the fifth inning. Well, did you know diamonds are one of the most thermally conductive materials in the world? Right now at Jordan's you'll find mattresses infused with actual diamond dust that draws heat away fast and regulates your body temperature for a cooler night's sleep. Introducing the Beauty Rest Hybrid, and it's only at Jordan's Furniture. Visit jordans.com for details. One out here in the fifth inning brings up Jonathan Scope.
Scope's not one to walk very much. 9 walks on the season, and he has struck out 76 times. Very aggressive hitter. Swinging at that first pitch, fouling it back.
That one inside almost hit him. He's got 15 home runs, the second baseman for the Orioles. Alex Spear pointing out the most free swinging club in the American League.
Right on cue.
Yeah, there you go. Swing and a miss, and it's 1-2. I feel like Alex is dominating this broadcast tonight. He's 1-2 pitch. And he drops down for strike 3. Scope didn't think so. Takes with him the fifth strikeout for Hill. 2 down.
And there's that different look from Rich Hill where he drops down to the side with the breaking ball, and it's easy for a right-hander to quit in this pitch. You think it's going to be outside. There comes the late break and just barely picking up the outside corner. That pitch could have gone either way. It goes in the favor of Rich Hill.
Well, it looked like he kind of surrounded the plate. Not sure it ever got it.
And you quit on it.
Swing and a miss here for Joseph. Joseph grounded out to the shortstop Xander Bogaerts in the second inning. 0 for 1. Swing and a miss. Fastball that was up, and it's 1-2. Joseph with 11 home runs on the year, an RBI shy of 50. And trying to grab that outside corner again, but it's 2-2.
Yeah, tried the curveball from a different angle that time, over the top instead of dropping down to the side, and that ball with not as much break on it.
Third full count of the night for Hill as J.J. Hardy waits on deck. Orioles batting here with 2 down in the top half of the 5th inning. In there for strike 3. Joseph knew it, takes with him the 6th strikeouts. 14 in a row retired by Rich Hill. Let's take a look at the box score. He asked, how do you like your coffee? "61% hot, 39% iced."
I thought it'd be closer than that, Don.
1-0 Red Sox have the lead as a breaking ball just misses outside to Brock Holt.
It's hard to order coffee nowadays. You just, if you go in there and just out for a coffee,
it's not.
They look at you like crazy.
Wait, like a regular coffee?
And just a coffee?
Now Brock Holt grounded out to shortstop first time up, 0 for 1. Speaking of coffee, Jerry's has just arrived. This is This is unusual. 5th inning coffee?
Yeah, did I miss one?
You must have, I think. I don't know. This is the 5th inning. You don't usually have coffee in the 5th inning.
Yeah, but Chris brought it down, so I might as well have it.
Drink it up. Have your Dunkin' Donuts. There you go. Nice and hot.
Now it's going to look warm.
Oh, lukewarm?
Yeah, it's been here since 4:30. Oh. Wow.
You got here early today, didn't it?
Woo.
So now you're having iced coffee, as it turns out, because it's been sitting here a while. 3-1. And that is down and in for ball 4. There's the second walk given up by Gausman. Get immediate care without leaving the ballpark at the Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center First Aid Station behind Section 12 on the lower concourse. BIDMC is the official hospital of the Boston Red Sox.
Hey, I'm going to pass it.
That coffee is canceled.
It's off. It's off.
Canceled.
It's off.
The fifth inning coffee has been canceled.
Whoa.
There is not going to have it.
The first one was very good, but this one was not quite room temperature.
Sandy Leon batting after the leadoff walk by Holt, and he's bunting. Off the mound, spryly is Gosman. For a big guy, got there quickly, and he fires to first base in time to get Leon. The sacrifice will get Brock Holt to second base.
Yeah, it's hard to tell sometimes whether they're doing that in their own or it's been put on, but Leon, who has had trouble swinging the bat, you expect that maybe it would be put on with nobody out and the man at first base. Gets the job done, gets Holt in the scoring position.
So runner at second, one down, working towards the bottom of the order. Jackie Bradley Jr., the batter, struck out looking in the third, 0 for 1. On the ground right side, Scope will go to first base for the second out as Holt takes third. We'll celebrate New England's top athletes, coaches, and teams at the Globies, presented by Mercedes-Benz, with a guest list that includes Doug Flutie, Taylor Twellman, and many more. The Globies is gearing up to be the biggest night in local sports. Tickets start at $75. Buy yours now at bostonglobe.com/Globies. Holt at third base here with 2 down in the fifth, and Mookie Betts rounded out to shortstop in the first, walked and scored in the third. In the dirt, gets away, and from third base, Holt's going to try it, and he will get in standing. Red Sox take a 2-0 lead. Well, the catcher, Caleb Joseph, had no idea where that ball was.
No, I don't think Brock Holt did either, and it was Mookie Betts that was waving him in. Watch Betts. Now the ball gets by Joseph. He has no clue. The pitcher knows where it is. Holt didn't pick it up right away, and then he gets waved home. He can see by Betts. A good job there by Mookie Betts letting Brock Holt know where the ball was, because he couldn't see it either. He was blocked. And watch Holt point to Betts. Nice job.
Well, base is empty now, 2-0. '80th pitch coming up here for Gosman, and that's going to pick up the corner. 2-1. Center fielder Nolan Reimold, step or two towards right center. Want him to check. He went around, says Greg Gibson. That's strike 2. Looking to check initially, then Jim Joyce did, and Gibson said he went. To left field, Pierce waiting, and he puts it away. Bill of the cap high to end the inning. Red Sox get a run, take a 2-0 lead through 5. 2-0 Red Sox have the lead behind great pitching by Rich Hill so far tonight. He's retired the last 14 batters after giving up a leadoff base hit to Nolan Reimold in the first inning. Deals with the bottom third of the Orioles order here. J.J. Hardy leading it off. And a ground ball towards first base. Shaw will take it himself to the bag. Hill was there and actually almost got in the way, but Hardy retired for the first out of the 6th inning. Toyo Tires just made winter driving easier. Their all-new Celsius delivers the year-round convenience of an all-season tire, plus winter weather safety on snow and ice. Visit toyotires.com to learn more. Toyo Tires, the official tire of the Boston Red Sox. One out here in the 6th inning brings up Christian Walker. He struck out swinging in the 3rd inning, 0 for 1. Line and caught on the backhand by Shaw. Hot shot, but Shaw was in the neighborhood and he makes the catch. 2 down.
Yeah, Walker, he gets a breaking ball that time and hits it where it's supposed to be hit because it was away. He goes to the opposite field, but look where Shaw is. Well off that first base line, and he takes a base hit away from him. And Shaw very involved here in this inning. Is a deep breath taken by Rich Hill on that catch by Travis Shaw.
2 down here in the 6th inning. Dariel Alvarez, the batter. Takes strike 1. He struck out looking in the 3rd inning. 0 for 1. One of 6 strikeouts for Hill. Struck out 10 in each of his first 2 outings as a Red Sox starter. This one dribbled back towards Hill. He will field and throw, and throws it away. As heading to second base is Alvarez, run down by Pedroia. And that breaks up a string now of 16 in a row retired by Hill, and he has no one to blame but himself on the throw.
Happens so many times. Pitchers can throw strikes and put it on the corner, but then when they get to throw to first base, some of them, they just have a difficult time, and that time not even close to Travis Shaw. It just sails on Rich Hill. So a man in scoring position with 2 outs on the error by Rich. He knew he had an easy out at first base.
So now he will go from the stretch here with Nolan Reimold standing in. And that breaks up a string of 16 in a row retired by Rich Hill. Reimold 1 for 2. He had a base hit back in the 1st inning, and the only hit for the Orioles as a throwing error. A 2-base error as it works out here that has Alvarez at second base. So Reimold with the only hit tonight. It was a single to center field to get the 1st inning started. Inside almost hit him. 2-0. A little bit high. 3-0. He's not walked anybody yet tonight. Manny Machado waits on deck. This is the 5th 3-ball counto for Hill on the night. And that is ball 4. So there is the first walk allowed by Hill. Comes with 2 down in the inning, and now the Orioles have the tying runs on base. Well, tomorrow at 3:30, don't miss Red Sox Game Day Live presented by DCU. Adam, Steve Lyons, and Tim Wakefield. We're joined by Red Sox hitting coach Chili Davis to talk about the Red Sox young hitters. DCU, Digital Federal Credit Union. What can DCU save you? Two down, runners at first and second, and Manny Machado the batter. And a swing and a foul tip on a pitch up and away.
A little over anxious Machado on that pitch. It was up and out of the strike zone. Taking a cut on that first pitch.
Alvarez at second base. Reimold at first. And a fly ball down the right field line that is foul. It's time now for tonight's Tusa Batu fact. Manny Machado has played in all 153 games for the Orioles this season. Only player in the majors to play in every game this season. Twisted Tea is the hard iced tea. Tastes like real iced tea. Be a little twisted. Taking a page out of the book of Cal Ripken's streak as he's played in every game this year on the left side for the O's. There's a long way to go before he catches Cal in that category. No 2 pitch to Machado. Fights it off foul. Very defensive swing. Kind of an emergency swing right there.
Hill fooled him that time. You know, he gave him that different look, dropping down to the side, and Machado unsure whether it was going to be fastball, breaking ball. A little bit late on the swing, as you can see, but he does foul it off.
Machado fouls another one off to the right. Fastball was up and away. Same spot as the first pitch that Hill threw to him that he got a piece of. As Chris Davis waits on deck. In is Xander Bogaerts to talk with Rich Hill. Red Sox having lost their last 3 contests. Trying to snap that here tonight. Have a 2-0 advantage. Time called. Hill follows through with the pitch. Jim Joyce called time and then walked away.
You could hear him yell out timeout, timeout, and then just walked away from home plate.
Machado goes chasing and strikes out. Rich Hill gets him and gets out of the jam. 5.5 done. 2-0 Boston. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Concourse busy here in between innings. Red Sox have a 2-0 advantage. As we head to the home half of the 6th inning, 2, 3, and 4 for Boston. There's Pedroia with a swing and a miss for strike 1. Kevin Gausman's pitching line brought to you by our Eastern Lexus dealers. 5+, 3 hits, 2 runs, walked 2, struck out 5. 83 pitches deep into his outing. He's not pitched badly, just has received no run support tonight. He's up against Rich Hill on the other side. RBI double by Xander Bogaerts, and a wild pitch. Scoring the 2 runs the Red Sox have. Pedroia fouls it off, down 1-2. Xander Bogaerts, then David Ortiz here in the bottom of the 6th inning. That'll miss outside, full count. 2 walks tonight allowed by Gausman through the first 5. Fifth full count of the night for Gausman. Pedroia fouls it off again. Have a son or daughter who wants to learn more about baseball or the Red Sox? Visit NESSONClubhouse.com, and there's videos, games, a whole lot more. It's fun, free, and easy to use. Visit NESSONClubhouse.com today. Fouled off, and again Pedroia getting a piece. He'll see an 8th pitch in this at bat. A piece of Caleb Joseph. Walks have been the issue for Gausman. The 2 walks that he has allowed, both of those walks turned into runs. Only 2 runs of this game. Here is pitch 90 coming up for the right-hander. And another foul off to the right by Pedroia.
Well, a lot of these pitches right in that same zone, too. You know, a little bit away from Pedroia. And he's able to foul those pitches off to the right side.
In the dirt, and Pedroia didn't go as they check at first base. So a leadoff walk for Dustin Pedroia. It's time for a game break brought to you by Jordan's, the furniture store of the Boston Red Sox. Tom? All right, Tom, thanks very much. That's a fired up town up there north of the border and in Toronto. The crowds have been amazing. The atmosphere has been playoff-like for a while now. Of course, the Red Sox are just up there, and they are trying to punch their ticket to the postseason as this pitch runs inside on Xander Bogaerts. Xander has grounded out at third, doubled to drive in the Red Sox first run and to pick up his 80th RBI of the year. Bouncing in 2-0. And now Dave Wallace is coming out as Gausman falls behind. Stirring in the pen for the Orioles. Well, don't miss WB Mason Extra Innings Live right after the game. TC, Steve Lyons, and Tim Wakefield break down tonight's game. Get the latest from Torey Lovello and Rich Hill. Whatever, whenever, wherever. Who but WB Mason? Xander just talking to Jim Joyce while the catcher Caleb Joseph went out there. I'm not sure if he's still talking about that foul ball earlier in the game that he said went off his foot. Two 2-0 the count to Xander. Pedroia held on to first base by Chris Davis. in there apparently at the bottom of the zone. 2-1. TJ McFarland kind of standing in the bullpen now, about to start to warm up, but he's not thrown yet. He's just kind of in a holding pattern out there.
Number 9 for takeoff.
Thought about it, but did not swing. And it's 3-1.
That's the pitch that Bogarts hit last time for the RBI. It was a split-fingered fastball that was out over the plate. This time it's down and out of the strike zone.
I think that conversation's like with TJ McFarland. Just go over there and stand with the baseball.
Stand there. Just, yeah. We'll let you know when to throw.
Strike call, full count.
Assume the pitching position.
He still hasn't thrown. He's pretending like he's going to. He's taking a spot there by the rubber. But he is not going to throw a baseball yet. Just all in preparation of doing so soon. Now the phone's ringing. And now he may throw his first pitch. So Buck is now going to allow him to throw a first pitch, I think, of warm-up. He just did. 3-2 pitch is on the ground, softly hit. Machado charging in, barehanded, and the throw is very late. Infield hit for Bogarts.
Now Machado had absolutely no chance at that. He still makes the throw because he's got a cannon for an arm. But Bogarts too much speed getting down that first base line, and that ball hit too softly. Bogarts way past the first base bag by the time that throw gets there.
Two on, nobody out, and David Ortiz coming up. David doubled in the second, grounded out to short in the fourth. 1 for 2. Into the shift go the O's on the right side. They'll keep it tight to the infield. The double play scenario in order. Swing and a miss at a pretty good fastball at 96.
Yeah, a little extra juice on that one as it was up and away from David Ortiz. Supposed to be inside, but it sails away, and Gausman gets the swing and miss.
Ortiz to right. Alvarez going back, still going, and he's not going to get it. Back into the corner as Pedroia coming around third, right behind him, and on his heels is Xander Bogarts. Throw to the plate, and they're both safe. Everybody's in. Pedroia first, then Bogarts, and they come in together. 4-0. Red Sox have the lead. How about that?
But talk about a strange play. Bogarts got a great jump, and he was right behind Pedroia. Now, I think Butterfield was trying to hold up the second runner. That was Bogarts, but he just kept going. Right in a sweet spot for David Ortiz. A nice try by Alvarez, but he can't get to it. And this is when the foot race begins. And watch how close Bogarts gets to Pedroia. He reads it's going to go in just before Dustin does, and he's right on his back. Here they come, around third. See, Butterfield, he was trying to stop him.
Down the stretch they come.
Yes. It's a good thing. It's a good thing Bogarts didn't lap him.
That was awesome. And there is no challenge, but Buck Showalter's coming out to make a change, it appears.
Bogarts, he almost slid into Pedroia. And the best part was Butterfield trying to stop the second runner coming in. He couldn't reach in between.
Now that is a night for Kevin Gausman, who departs. Red Sox have a 4-0 advantage here at Fenway in the bottom of the 6th, pitching change. Baltimore Orioles. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Kia. TJ McFarland into the game. 27th appearance, 0-2 with a 5.34 earned run average. Opponent sitting at 314 against him as Travis Shaw hits him one on the ground to third. Tough hop picked by Machado. Turns and throws to first in time to get Shaw. No advance for Big Papi at second base. Let's take a look at the Toyota play of the game, and it was this running play for both Bogaerts and Pedroia off the double by David Ortiz.
This is classic stuff. A head for a slide, a feet for a slide. That's one of the best plays I've seen all year. And the best part was Butterfield trying to stop the second runner.
Well, David still at second base, 1 down, 2 runs in, as you just saw. Devin Marrero, the batter. And he lines one down the right field line foul. Marrero has struck out twice tonight, swinging in the second, looking in the 4th inning.
See, the reason that it was that close, they were that close together with nobody out, and there was nobody out at the time. Pedroia has to make sure, if that ball's caught, that he tags at second and goes to third. That's why he was close to second base. Bogaerts was going first to second, so he could read that that ball was not going to be caught, and that's why they were so close as they rounded second base and all the way in. You see Pedroia, he's going to go back and tag if that ball's caught, but it was not caught. So now here he goes, and here comes Bogaerts, and look at Butterfield. Whoa, whoa, whoa! I love that play.
Now it grabs the corner and makes it 2-2. And the Red Sox had a 2-0 advantage coming into this inning. Well, the walk's a problem for Gausman. He only walked 3, but all 3 walks turned into runs. And he's chased from the game after 5+ innings. Still responsible for Ortiz at second base. Charged with 5 hits and 4 runs so far. Swing and a miss for Marrero. Gets away briefly from Joseph, who throws him out. And for the 3rd time tonight, Marrero has struck out.
He's had a tough night. Yeah, the hat trick right now. He's got him on a breaking ball the first time, a fastball, now a breaking ball again from McFarland for the strikeout. Pedroia, he knows too that he's got Bogaerts right on his heels. He knows it. Stopped a little bit. Head first and feet first. I'm sorry, I can't stop laughing at that one.
In there for strike 1 to Brock Holt.
You think Dustin could hear him too, right in his tail?
Probably could. There's no doubt about it. He wasn't that far away. Holt the other way, and that's in. A fair ball down the left field line to the corner. Here comes Big Papi around. His second goes Holt with a double, and the Red Sox take a 5-0 lead.
Nice hitting there by Brock Holt against the lefty. He takes a breaking ball right here and just slices it hard to the opposite field. That ball stayed in a zone where he could handle it right there. And that's a good piece of hitting by Brock Holt. Butterfield, no problem that time waving home David Ortiz.
Here's Sandy Leon for the 3rd time tonight. Leon has struck out, had a sacrifice bunt.
Looked like those 2 runners like 2 guys going through fast lane too fast. You know what I mean? And the light didn't have chance. The third base coach, the light, didn't have chance to put the red light on the second car.
They're coming through.
They're coming through. We're coming through fast lane.
in the dirt now, and it is 2-0.
Watch Butterfield try to be the red light. All right, you score. Whoa, no. Yes.
Everybody in.
Yes. The confusion down there sometimes is unbelievable.
Usually you don't have to make that kind of decision that quickly in between. You have more time in between to think about it if you're Brian Butterfield. On the ground foul outside of third.
Ortiz had a little bit of a slower run to home plate. He was there was no play on him.
On the ground towards second. Jonathan Scope from the outfield grass throws out Leon, and the inning is over. But Red Sox score 3 times in the inning and take a 5-0 lead.
Breaking ball right there to Davis. A drop down breaking ball to Jonathan Scope. Over the top breaking ball right there to Joseph. And then the split fingered fastball away to Machado, well off the plate.
Now Rich Hill back out there. That was pitch number 85 of his outing. And he's dealing with 3, 4, and 5 in the Orioles order. Chris Davis, Steve Pearce, Jonathan Scope here in the 7th. Davis tonight has had the misfortune of grounding into a 6-4-3 double play in the first. Struck out swinging in the 4th inning and badly fooled there, down 0-2. Shifting on the right side of the Red Sox. Marrero, the third baseman, coming to the right side of the infield. Rich Hill's pitching line brought to you by Ace Ticket. 6+, just the one hit. That was by Nolan Reimold, first batter that he faced. Walk and 7 Ks. Count evens at 2-2 here to Chris Davis. Tried to hold up, but he went around. Chad Fairchild, third base umpire, rings him up. That's 8 Ks for Hill, 1 down as we send it down to Guerin.
Thanks, Don. Pitching coach Carl Willis said that one thing that really has impressed him about Rich Hill is his ability to be creative. Willis said that prior to his start in Toronto, Hill did his homework, found a better grip on his changeup, took it into the game, and used it many times. Guys, Willis said this really speaks to his athleticism and his confidence that he was able to do that.
Well, we've seen a lot of different looks from Rich Hill so far, and certainly saw different looks in that outing in Toronto, and again tonight mixing it up pretty good. Steve Pearce, a batter with one down. 1-0 is popped up, shallow center field. Out goes Bogarts, in comes Bradley, and Jackie takes care of out number 2. As promised earlier in the game, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Catherine submitted this photo of her sister and 11-year-old niece posing with Brock Holt and Craig Breslow. Tweet your photos now, brought to you by T-Mobile. The guy on the left, Craig Breslow, will be starting tomorrow's game here. Late day baseball from Fenway Park. Breslow getting the start. Strike over the outside corner.
You would think the way Breslow's been used that he'd probably be able to go for 3 innings, I would think, tomorrow.
Torrey said that he was going to go as long as he did not give up a run. As this one is down the right field line as Shaw into foul ground and makes the catch. Nicely done. Up against the wall down there and in foul ground. Over the shoulder. 7th inning stretch. 5-0 Boston. Let's take a look at the box score. For facilities throughout the Northeast. Did you know FW Web did that? Learn more about this proud Boston Red Sox sponsor at fwweb.com. 5-0. Red Sox have the lead, out hitting the Orioles 6-1 as Boston comes to bat. Check the out-of-town scores. White Sox have a 4-2 lead over New York, while the Blue Jays have a 4-2 lead over Tampa Bay. Both those games in the 7th. Jackie Bradley Jr. leading it off against T.J. McFarland and fouling the first pitch off at the plate. Jackie 0 for 2 in the game, striking out in the 3rd, grounding out in the 5th. On the ground at third base, positioned perfectly was Machado at the lip of the grass. Throw low, but dug out by Davis on the other side for the first out.
Davis saved him right there. He almost threw that ball away. He really made no motion to step toward first base, and just kind of catch it and throw. And he almost paid for it. Davis had to dig it out of the dirt, but nice play by Davis.
Buck Showalter out there to make the change. 5-0 Red Sox. Jason Garcia coming in for the O's. Back at Fenway with one out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Mookie Betts standing in. Mookie has grounded to short, walked and scored, and lined out to left. And that's in there for strike one. The new pitcher is Jason Garcia into the game here for the O's. 20th appearance, 1-0. 4.18 earned run average. 20 strikeouts, 15 walks. Opponent sitting at 198 against Garcia. And Betts down 0-2.
Pretty good slider right there by Garcia, keeping it down off the plate and away from Mookie Betts.
Garcia right now on a stretch of 9 scoreless appearances over his last 11 outings. 2.51 earned run average during that time. Opponent's hitting at 173. 1-2 pitch. And a swing and a miss. Makes quick work of Mookie Betts. Second out here of the 7th inning. That is now strikeout number 7 for Orioles pitching.
And that's that slider again away from Mookie. You see the arsenal. A lot of fastballs, that slider, and very few changeups from Jason Garcia.
So 2 down for Dustin Pedroia, who has grounded out to second, singled to center, walked and scored. Kevin Gausman started this game tonight for the Orioles. 5+5 hits, 5 runs. Walked 3. They all turned into runs and struck out 5. Bottom of the zone for strike 1. Yanks it down and away for ball 2. Garcia made his major league debut back in April at Tampa Bay with the Orioles. His first major league strikeout, he struck out Edwin Encarnacion. Foul back, 2-2. Remind you to vote for the Amica Pitcher of the Week at NESN.com/Amica and enter to win a $100 gift card from NESN to the Yawkey Way Team store. Swing and a miss, and Pedroia strikes out of the 94-mile-an-hour fastball. Garcia strikes out both batters he faces. 5-0 Red Sox.
First with a double. That is going to drive in a run. That's back in the third inning. Mookie Betts scoring. Then David Ortiz, and the race is on. After it gets by Alvarez, 2-run score. Pedroia, Bogarts. And then Brock Holt slapping one to the opposite field. That drives in a run. So that's 4 of the 5 of the runs that the Red Sox have in this game tonight.
Caleb Joseph leading it off here for the Orioles in the top of the 8th inning. 0 for 2 in the game. He's grounded to short, struck out looking. Makes the curveball for strike 2. Well, 95 pitches here for Rich Hill, working into the 8th. He has given up 1 hit since the first inning. 0-2 pitch. That one has him dancing out of the way. He's retired 4 in a row right now in this stretch. Remember, he struck out 10 in his first outing, 10 in his second outing, and has 8 strikeouts working here into the 8th. And ahead here, 1-2 of Caleb Joseph. Line foul back into the seats down towards Canvas Alley. J.J. Hardy, then Christian Walker expected here in the 8th inning. To left field. Holt is there to make the catch. Almost lost it in the light tower, but able to make the grab out there on the line drive. Now, tonight's game summary is brought to you by Xfinity. Kevin Gausman, 5+ innings, 5 hits, 5 earned runs. The Red Sox, Rich Hill, still in the midst of his outing. 7 1/3, no runs on only 1 hit. David Ortiz tonight 2 for 3 in the ball game. Xander Bogaerts 2 for 3 in tonight's contest. Red Sox right now blanking the Orioles 5-0 as J.J. Hardy takes strike 1. Hardy has struck out looking, grounded out to first base, 0 for 2. Hill wanted that. Pitch 101 is grounded back towards the mound. Hill gets out of the way. Now Leone fires to first base. Rich Hill was going after, then he backed off as Leone was coming to get it. And Leone with a good throw to first. Good, hard, accurate throw.
Yeah, good communication here between Hill and Leone to see Hill just peel off. And Leone's in a good position to pick that ball up. He's got the very strong arm and throws him out at first base. So no collision. Once Hill saw Leone charging out, he just let him make the play, and that was the wise choice.
So 2 down, 6 in a row. Carl Willis just off the phone to the bullpen, and some stirring going on down there right now. 2 outs here in the 8th. Here's Christian Walker. And a swing and a miss for strike 1. It's like Noe Ramirez first up for Boston. This truly has been amazing for Rich Hill. He's now 3 outings in a row. Walker jammed, and he fouls it off to the right. Stay tuned for Red Sox Final presented by Uno's. TC, Steve Lyons, and Tim Wakefield to preview tomorrow's use of the bullpen by the Red Sox. Going to be a full bullpen game. Craig Breslow getting the nod. Play late day baseball here tomorrow. 4 o'clock start from Fenway. 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. 9 strikeouts for Rich Hill, who truly has been amazing again tonight. So we'll have the latest on Brewers captain Zdeno Chara's injury, and then get all the sights and sounds from Celtics Media Day. Five to nothing. Red Sox have the lead over the Orioles as we head to the last half of the 8th inning. Jason Garcia back on the mound for Baltimore. Bogarts, Ortiz, and Shaw to bat here in the bottom of the 8th. Xander tonight has grounded out to third, double to drive in a run, and single, also scored a run. Strike call. Ball and a strike. Appeared to be down, but the benefit of the doubt. Jason Garcia finished off the 7th in impressive fashion by striking out Mookie Betts and Dustin Pedroia back to back. So a 2-hit night tonight for Xander, a 2-hit night tonight for Ortiz. Red Sox out hitting the Orioles 6-1. And a grounder up the middle as ranging is scoped to the backhand. Not in time, not even close. 3rd hit of the night for Xander Bogaerts.
Yeah, big night for Bogaerts. The 3 hits, the double, a drive, and a run, and back-to-back singles. No chance here for Jonathan Scope. Just too much speed by Bogaerts going down the line. Seen a couple of throws to first base tonight that, those ones that you just can't help yourself. You just got to throw it.
Buck Showalter out there to make the pitching change. Lead runner gets on here in the 8th. It's 5-0 Boston. Their $500 donation to Boston Children's Hospital. Alltown is New England's premier healthier convenience retailer. Shift on here for the Orioles on the right side. Xander Bogaerts at first base here in the last half of the 8th inning. Ortiz with a wild swing and a miss for strike 1. That was a healthy cut. Ryan Madison of the game, 55th appearance, 1-4. The 2.87 earned run average, 54 strikeouts at 20 walks, and opponents hitting at 203 against Mattis. Runner at first, the responsibility of Jason Garcia, who went 2/3 of an inning. Ortiz will take it low this time, 1-1. David, a 107 hitter against Madison. Largely the reason that Showalter has made this change is 3 for 28 in his career against Mattis. Bouncing in for ball 2.
And so far 3 pitches, 3 sliders from Mattis to David Ortiz. There you see the numbers.
Bogaerts reaching on an infield hit to begin this inning. Held on at first base by Chris Davis. Looks like they're going to try to go away. And Ortiz fouls it off. A fastball that was away. 2-2. Red Sox season ticket plans are now available for the 2016 season. For information about becoming a Red Sox season ticket holder, call 617-226-6888 or visit redsox.com/season tickets today. Fouled at the plate, and it remains 2-2.
Popped right out of the glove of Caleb Joseph. A fastball that he's fouled off. You see the contact and just rattling around everything but the pocket of the glove.
Fly ball to left field. Back and over goes Pierce, looking up, and that ball's high off the wall. Trying to score from first as Bogart's throw headed inward, and Xander is in safely. It gets away. Ortiz will remain at second base, and the Red Sox take a 6-0 lead.
Now, how about the night for David Ortiz? 3 doubles on the night and 3 runs batted in. He'll find the left field wall on this fastball against a guy that he just gives him big time problems. So what does he do? Goes to the opposite field and takes advantage of that left field wall. Bogart's making the good read. He knows the ball's going to be off the wall, and he rounds third and scores without a problem.
Well, that is a night for David Ortiz. They will pinch run for him. Josh Rutledge taking over at second base. Still nobody out in the inning. And Travis Shaw coming up. So a 3 RBI night tonight for Big Papi. RBI is 102, 103, and 104 of the year. Shaw takes strike 1. Only the second time in his career that he's had 3 doubles in a game. That's hard to believe. And a bounce in, 1-1. Swing and a miss, and it's 1-2. Nobody currently warming in the Red Sox pen, and Rich Hill, 104 pitches through 8. Looks like he's going to try to go the distance, perhaps. Everybody seated in the pen right now. An amazing outing tonight for Rich Hill. The 1 hit, the first batter that he faced in Nolan Reimold. 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, and Shaw strikes out. That's the first out here at the bottom of the 8th.
Right to the outside corner with the fastball and the swing and miss. Second time Shaw has struck out tonight. Struck out in the first inning on a changeup.
Beacon Insurance, great service, great coverage, and a great price for auto, home, or life insurance. 1 out, runner at second base, and here's Devin Marrero. He's glad to see the starter Kevin Gausman gone. It's a tough night tonight, striking out 3 times. Swing and a miss there, trying to hold up. Josh Rutledge running at second base, 1 away here in the last of the 8th. The run that scores charged to Jason Garcia, went 2/3 of an inning, giving up a hit. Didn't walk anybody, struck out 2, and another 5 charged to the starter Gausman. Down low, 1-1. More action for Baltimore. Steve Johnson, right-hander, up in the pen. Marrero to center. Reimold back there, makes the catch on the line drive. Rutledge tagging, heading for third base. Throw going there, and he will be safe at third.
That kind of figures, you strike out 3 times in the ball game, and then all of a sudden you hit a bullet to center field, but it's right at the center fielder, Nolan Rimo. Good, solid contact right there by Marrero, but the Rimo back about 5 steps, makes the catch, and there's the tag, and go to third base is Rutledge.
So 2 down, Rutledge at third base, and a chance here for Brock Holt to add on to this Red Sox lead. Holt tonight has grounded to short, walked and scored, singled to drive in a run. His last time up in the 6th inning. Took it the other way to left field on the base hit that drove in his 42nd RBI of the year. On the corner, and he's down 0-2. Outside, ball 1. Osmond went 5 innings. TJ McFarland an inning and a third. 2/3 of an inning for Jason Garcia. Mattis has got 2 outs here in the 8th. He's responsible for Rutledge at third, pinch running for David Ortiz. On the ground softly towards second base. Scope charges in. His throw is going to be not in time. Run scores. Rutledge in the back door, and it's now 7-0 Boston.
That's the 3rd time tonight that Holt's been on base. A walk, a double, a drive, and a run. Now an infield single. Just a little half swing there by Holt. A little tap out towards second base, but Scope had too far to go. Holt too fast down that line. Picks up an RBI. 2nd of the night for him. Rutledge crossing home plate with the 7th run.
So 2 down here in the 8th inning. Holt at first and Sandy Leon coming up. Leon has struck out, had a sacrifice bunt, and grounded out to second base. Short lead at first for Holt, held on by Chris Davis over there. And Leon takes strike 1. Foul back, 0-2. H.B. Hood salutes the Red Sox Foundation's commitment to 4,900 accredited charities throughout New England. Jackie Bradley Jr. waiting on deck. 2 down here in the 8th. Pretty good pitch, but called a ball. 1-2.
Yeah, Mattis taking a long look in after that breaking ball. The slider looked like to be strike 3, but not called strike 3. Pulled up a little bit by Caleb Joseph.
On the outside corner for strike 3. That ends the 8th, but the Red Sox tack on 2 more, take a 7-0 lead. Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Digital Federal Credit Union. See what DCU can save you. Your local Subaru dealers. And by Sullivan Tire and Auto Service. Thank you, New England, for 60 great years. 7-0. Red Sox have the lead, and Rich Hill back on the mound as he tries to finish off what he started. Look out. Bat goes flying on a swing and a miss.
One hit in the game given up by Rich Hill. That was the leadoff man in the first inning. Nolan Reimold got a curveball, took it up the middle on the ground for the base hit, and that has been it on the night.
Alvarez fouls it back, 0-2. There is double-barreled action. Noe Ramirez had been up earlier. He's back up again, and now joined by Tommy Lane. On the ground, deep short. Bogarts, long throw, and he's not going to get it there. Alvarez with a base hit here in the ninth inning. This the second hit given up by Hill, and this one is of the infield variety.
Yeah, same type as Reimold got back in the first inning, except Bogarts can get to this one. But little chance of getting him at first base. That throw, he's going toward the foul line, making the throw. Hard to get very much on it. Head first slide at first base by Alvarez, just in case.
Nolan Reimold, the batter, he's got that other hit. Only 2 complete games for the Red Sox this year. Miley's got 1 and Buchholz has the other. He'll try to go the distance tonight. That's in there for strike 2. And with 9 strikeouts, I mean, pick up a strikeout here in the ninth inning. This would be 3 consecutive outings of 10K performances. Swinging a foul tip, and that is strikeout number 10 for Rich Hill. How about that? Unbelievable. 1 down here in the ninth.
Yeah, rearing back and going with the fastball with 2 strikes. Elevates a little bit. And the foul tip right into the webbing of the glove of Sandy Leon.
1 out. Alvarez at first base. Shaw not holding him on, kind of standing behind him as Manny Machado takes strike 1. 0 for 3 in the game. He's flying to right, grounded out to second, struck out swinging. Off the end of the bat towards first. A lot of spin on it. Shaw will go to second for 1. Back to first, and it is not in time. He pulled the foot. Kind of changed feet there, and in the process, reaching is Machado. But there are 2 outs now in the ninth.
Yeah, Rich Hill could not quite get his footwork right around that bag at first base. Actually, I didn't even think Bogarts was going to throw it, but he did. And there's Hill trying to stretch out, but he didn't have the bag. Saw the left foot come off the back. He tries to get it with his right, but by that time Machado's past it.
Well, Sandy Leon out there to give him some time after he had to run over there to cover. Well, your next fill-up could be free with Gulf Oil's new rewards program, PowerPoints. Visit GulfPowerPoints.com to sign up and start earning free gas. It's that easy. 2 down in the ninth with Machado at first base. Chris Davis the batter. Red Sox into the shift. Strike 1. Davis tonight has grounded into a double play and struck out twice, both times swinging. Ball and a strike now to Davis. Outside, taking second on defensive indifference is Manny Machado. A change in the shift here is Marrero to the right side.
Yeah, Machado probably take third base too.
Davis hits one high and deep to right field. Back goes Betts at the wall. He leaps. Did he get it? He did! Unbelievable catch by Mookie Betts. Brings it back in. Robs Davis and ends the game all in one. A complete game for Rich Hill. Some kind of spectacular tonight. That's a way to finish a ball game right there.
I'll say, I thought that ball was out of the ballpark, and Mookie Betts just times it perfectly, and this time stays in the ballpark, did not go into the bullpen. Let's track this ball all the way to the bullpen. There goes Betts. He's able to maintain his balance, show the umpire the baseball. Game over. Look at the eyes on the guys in the bullpen. And then look at the catch.
Unbelievable catch out there by Mookie Betts to end this ball game. An incredibly well pitched game tonight by Rich Hill. I'd be happy for that guy. Going through so much to get back, and the Red Sox able to win it tonight 7-0 as we send it down to Guerin.
Thanks, Don. Rich, complete game. It's got to feel good.
Yeah, it was great. What a catch by Mookie, huh? Unbelievable. How bad.
Can you assess your own success in your first 3 outings, your first 3 starts?
No, just keep it simple and stay in the moment. That's it.
What makes your curveball so effective?
It's always been there, and just throw it with conviction. And that's really about it. I don't know the secret to it. I mean, some guys have great fastballs, other guys can spin the baseball, so that's really all I can say.
The offense really got going tonight. What did you think of that play with Pedroia and Bogarts?
Yeah, that was unbelievable. I'll tell you what, that was fun to watch. That was, seeing both those guys come in right behind each other. That was great.
Congrats on the win tonight.
All right, thank you.
Doesn't get much better than that for Rich Hill. An incredible night tonight and an incredible catch by Mookie Betts. A lot of fun tonight from Fenway. We're back with more after this.